Are you doing this morning? Assalamu alaikum, brother Sibinisa. How are you?
I'm okay. Walaikum salam. Alhamdulillah, I'm good.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I know our listeners are waiting for our usual gardening and natural living show, and with all our nature's apothecary things, Jerry's. But we have something very special in line for you this morning, and it has nothing to do with gardening, but it certainly has to do with nurturing, because we always say what you nurture today, you harvest tomorrow. And it is very much the same for us women who are really the heartbeat, aren't we? If the men are the hands, as I say, the women are the hearts. And we have with me today a woman who is a heart of the world. And today is a show that is not gardening, but certainly natural living, because it is part of a Women's Month special. And today we certainly have a special woman with us. I want to introduce you to her, and I want to welcome you to send in your questions if you'd like. You know the number 060-904-1056. We're on 90.4 FM in Durban, 105.6 in Pietermaritzburg, audio stream, and of course we visual stream everywhere too, dearies. So you can join us on Facebook, on Instagram. Not on the TikToks this morning, I'm afraid. No. But Radio Al Ansar, that is where you will find us. And that is where you will find this very, very special guest that's with us today. She is very special. I want to talk about her because, you know, what we're talking about this morning is something that affects women everywhere. It's still very much treated as a medical issue. It's not a medical issue. It's a human rights issue, and it's about the safety of mothers and babies during pregnancy and childbirth. So let me tell you a little bit about Isra Chaker this morning. Chaker?
That's perfectly right.
Chaker, there we go. Listen to that voice. She's smooth as honey and a beautiful woman, a beautiful heart inside and outside. May Allah always grow your beauty inside and outside, inshallah.
Thank you. That's so kind.
Isra is a Syrian-American human rights advocate, folks. She's a movement builder. She's a speaker. She is a powerhouse. Now, before she founded Every Pregnancy, this young lady, this sister, worked in global advocacy, including with Amnesty International. She's worked with organizations involved in humanitarian and refugee issues, and that really spoke to my heart. The listeners who know me better know my background. And today she's taken all of that experience, everything, and she's channeled it into something called Every Pregnancy. And folks, it's a global movement. It's a global movement that's focusing on maternal and newborn health, particularly in communities affected by conflict, by displacement, by inequality. And listen, it's not a small organization we're talking about. Something that she told me began like early last year.
Yeah.
And the results have been significant, really and truly. She has, it brings together at the moment more than 50 organizations working across more than 20 countries. She's built a very interesting connection between maternal health and Islamic philanthropy. She's asking communities to rethink differently. Where are we going? Where are we going as mothers, as childbearers, as a society? Right, the result of her work has been significant. In Ramadan, the Ramadan campaign this year mobilized more than $90 million. $90 million for maternal and newborn health, subhanallah. And that close to $130 million has been mobilized through the movement over the past few years. It's not just a conversation about pregnancy, as I said, it's about human rights. So I want to welcome Isra. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Radio Al Ansar. It is lovely to have you with us.
Wa alaikum assalam. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. What a beautiful introduction. What a beautiful introduction.
You know, there's nothing introduction that has been embellished. It really is who you are, and sometimes it's good for us to have someone else hold up a mirror, because the work that you're doing really is important. And I want to ask you, because I know that this journey started with a personal experience for you, your own experience of pregnancy complications, childbirth, that really shaped this mission. So what happened for you? And how did that experience change the way that you looked at pregnancy, at childbirth, at mothers?
Yeah, no, most definitely. So, I'm one of 7 children in my family. So, mashallah, I grew up in a big family where my mom is the central pillar for the entire family, as many moms are in their families.
Yeah.
She is the foundation. She is the reason why the family thrives.
Yes.
And that's why I think we all know that, especially in Islam, the position of mothers in our faith is sacred. And so what are we doing to protect our moms? We always feel like it's about respecting our moms, listening to what they need, supporting her. But what are we doing to make sure that we're preserving the lives of our moms and babies? So for me, this mission became personal when I went through my own pregnancy journey and delivery process. And let's set the scene a bit here. I'm an American born and raised, of course, from Saudi originally, but have the privilege and access and resources in the US with insurance to help me cover my bills. And so really I am the most ideal privileged candidate in the world to go through a pregnancy. And as I was experiencing my own pregnancy, one that I wanted for so long and that I was so excited and grateful for, and so protective of, I developed a heart condition that came out of nowhere in my pregnancy. Literally out of nowhere. In my 7th month of pregnancy, I went home one day after an event on a Tuesday evening, getting ready for bed, and I lay down for bed, and my heart starts beating really fast. And I realized that my heart rate was 170, and I was wearing an iWatch at the time, and that's extremely high.
Very.
And I was concerned, obviously, because I was like, what is going on? I'm in resting position. I'm not even moving.
I'm surprised
And my
you
heart rate
were
was that
still
high.
alive. 170 is very high.
It's very, very high. And I remember I was so stressed out that I called my sister, who luckily is a cardiologist, and I said, this is what I'm dealing with. So she gave me some maneuvers to do to be able to bring my heart rate down. I did everything she told me to do. Nothing worked.
Yeah.
I ended up going to the emergency room to try to solve this problem. And of course, the only thing I'm thinking about is, God, please protect my son. Allah, please let this baby be okay. Let this baby be okay. And I was only concerned about my son. So I go into the emergency room and they try some, different techniques, different maneuvers. Nothing is bringing down my heart rate. At this point, I'm feeling fainty, feeling lightheaded. My blood pressure is all over the place. And they're telling me, if this doesn't get resolved, we're going to have to start a procedure. And the procedure to basically essentially create an electric shock to my heart and restart my heart. And of course, that was in the extreme side of things, but it was also necessary if the heart rate wasn't going to drop down. And so subhanallah, right before the procedure was about to happen, literally right before, I know my mom's du'as were answered and prayers were answered for me, my heart rate dropped back down to normal. And the doctor, I'll never forget, looked at the heart machine, the EKG, and he said, that's a miracle that just happened to you. Because he literally could not believe it, because I had been in this SVT, which is the high heart rate condition, for hours. So I thought that it was sort of a one-off situation, that inshallah I'd be fine. And that was sort of a freak part of pregnancy, which they said that sometimes women can develop these type of conditions in their pregnancy because of the extra blood flow from the pregnancy. But subhanallah, it happened week after week after week. And I went to the ER multiple times, the emergency room.
It must have been a very scary experience for you as you're going through that and always wondering, when is it going to happen next?
Exactly.
And what is the effect on the baby?
Exactly. So for me, I just started to become in a state of anxiety and waiting for the next thing to happen and not being able to just sit and rest and think that I was going to be okay. So I was on edge for the last 2 months of my pregnancy, and then I had to be on medication. And then subhanAllah, when the delivery came of my son, I was in labor for 26 hours and I ended up pushing for 4. So I actually fractured my tailbone in delivery. I didn't realize until the epidural wore off. So now here I am with a heart condition and a fractured tailbone and the natural delivery in general, the natural postpartum, and all the things you have to recover from physically when you deliver and mentally and emotionally. And so I just thought, this is the hardest, most difficult experience I've ever been through in my entire life. And I don't know how, first and foremost, my mom was able to do it with 7 of us, mashallah, and had miscarriages on top of that. And then also, secondly, how do women in different parts of the world with no access to the care that I have or little access to the care that I have survive this? I really was questioning how do they do that? And I was like, I got everything I could possibly need, from doctor's visits, scans, appointments, checking in on me, a village checking in on me. And I just was like, there's no way women can do this easily. So subhanAllah, that's where my motivation and my passion and commitment to saying, I want to do everything possible to help moms and babies from this moment onwards in any capacity that I can. Now, of course, I never imagined it would be a career for me. I didn't think it was going to be my career move at the time. I'm working in human rights. I'm working in civil rights. I'm working on issues of immigration in the United States, which we know we have a lot of problems around that. And so the last thing on my mind was that I was going to shift careers into something related to health. But subhanAllah, we plan, and Allah is the best of planners. And so just a little while after having my son, a foundation reached out to me that had seen me speak before and had known about my campaigning work at the time and all the different work that I was doing, specifically on the Gaza genocide campaign for Amnesty International that I was leading. And I kept thinking to myself, okay, I want to volunteer my time and my personal commitments to maternal health whenever I can. But SubhanAllah's Foundation reached out and said, we're trying to figure out how to get the Muslim community to get more involved with their resources in maternal newborn health. But we don't know how to do that, if it's possible, what's the appetite, just all these questions and what that even looks like, right? And I remember saying, well, why are you calling me? I had no idea why they're calling me. That's because we need someone that we know can build people power movements and campaigns, and you're the best at it. And I kept thinking, I don't think I'm the best at anything, but I do feel confident in that ability, in my ability to build grassroots movements and draw people power energy and attention and motivation and momentum and energy and all the passion towards a certain cause. So subhanAllah, I said, I don't have a background in health. I'm not an OBGYN. I'm not a midwife. I'm just a mom, but a mom who had a really challenging experience and is extremely compassionate and empathetic to what mothers experience day to day. And I want to do something about it. And so, subhanAllah, I took this 1-month contract and I came up with a plan and a scoping exercise where I was like, the only way we're going to address this as an issue area is that it can't be done alone. And so there's 3 things that I noticed immediately around maternal newborn health. Right. 3 major challenges. Should I just jump right into it?
Yeah,
what do you think?
Right in. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. 3 specific challenges. One is that the work that's happening on the ground exists, that there are amazing organizations doing maternal health work, but the number one challenge is that they're not talking to each other. They're all operating in silos. So there can be organizations working in the exact same community and never know what each other are doing, if their efforts are duplicated, if resources are being wasted. There's just no communication. So I realized the silos need to go. The second challenge is that the financing model, the financing paradigm needed a shift because everybody was depending on the same resources for financing that anyone in the world is depending on that don't exist the same way that we need them to, right? We see USAID being cut, governments are shutting down some of their funding, are cutting back. So where do you go when all the resources that are traditional, quote unquote, are being depleted? And lastly, mothers who need the support the most are not being reached. This is a very important point here because we're not just talking about moms that are enduring a genocide or a humanitarian crisis or disaster. We're talking about moms also who are in the hardest to reach places of Pakistan or places in South Africa or places in Somalia. So who is reaching those moms and how are we making sure that they're accounted for? Because if you look at the statistics globally, every 2 minutes a woman is dying from preventable complications in pregnancy and childbirth. Every 2 minutes, by the time we're done with this interview, dozens of women would have died from preventable reasons. There is nothing more tragic than that. 94% of the world's maternal mortality rate happens in low and middle income countries. That is the truth. So low and middle income is the majority of the world, actually. And so when you're talking about low and middle income countries, and then furthermore, how to get to the moms that are in the hardest to reach places there, you have to find the right people to do that. And so it was critical for me that every pregnancy come in and address those 3 challenges. So the first one is that we were going to break down these silos and have different organizations that are frontline implementers that are from these communities, that are indigenous to these communities. Because how can we solve this crisis if we have outsiders, right, savior types coming in, parachuting into a community, resolving or thinking they're putting a resolution in place, but really they're just putting on band-aids and then leaving the community to fend for itself. I disagree with this 100%. It's been against my ethos in this work for my entire career and my personal life. But I remember saying to myself that the orgs that we need to have as part of every pregnancy have got to be from these communities because they understand, right, the cultural nuances and needs of a mom in Pakistan are different from the needs of a mom in Nigeria, different from the needs of a mom in Syria. And so you have to have those orgs that are trusted on the ground where moms will listen to them and be supported by them. The second was we're going to break down all those silos, right? Because now we're reaching the hardest to reach moms, but we want to break down all the silos. And so we were going to bring a coalition together. And this is where this coalition idea came from. I didn't want to create another NGO or nonprofit that was going to do the same thing that so many organizations are already doing. What was missing was coordination. What was missing was collaboration.
Connection.
Yes, and connection and impact tracking in a way that made sense. And so I said, we need to build an ecosystem, a spine to all of this. If we bring everybody together under this spine, under this umbrella, we can actually solve this. We have a good chance at it together. So that's where Every Pregnancy came up with the coalition model. And we were like, this is how we're going to do this. So we started recruiting organizations to be part of it. And lastly, on the funding, I was like, I do not want to depend on government funding. That's a deadfall.
If you do that, you're dead in the water.
Exactly,
Yes.
because you see governments are moody, political, based on the, who supports who's in office. And, we've seen that in the U.S. I know this because I fought against multiple administrations, my own work as an activist. But I said, we need to find a new way to get funding. And of course, I thought, who's the most philanthropic community globally? Who is the most generous community globally? I was like, Muslims. I was like, why are we not going to the community for this issue? Why are we not educating them on this issue? And so I decided that the only way this was going to work is if we found a way to incentivize the Muslim community to give to this cause. And we found a way to get funders to back up the community giving. So I created a catalytic boost fund, which essentially, in all shortness and simplicity, is a pool of money that our organizations that have been vetted and part of the Every Pregnancy Coalition have access to when it comes to their fundraising for maternal newborn health programs in Ramadan. And every time they raise money, they get additional funding from Every Pregnancy from this pooled fund. And every time a donor gives, that donor's donation is multiplied from the boost fund. So subhanAllah, it was such a tremendous game changer that it helped us raise $91 million in Ramadan, over $91 million this month.
Money that is going to women.
100% of that funding goes to moms and babies.
This is so powerful for me because I remember, and I think a lot of moms relate to this because we speak as moms and working with women, myself for over 30 years now. There's this idea like if you've had a baby and you're a mother, or you're pregnant and you're a mother, it's kind of like you need to just get on with it because this is human. This is what our bodies are supposed to do. What are you so worried about? You're supposed to still be normal, keep a happy face. And then when you finally have the baby, there's also a lot of you're expected to just kind of get on with life. But having it, being pregnant firstly, is such a huge mind shift for women. And even among us women, when we are pregnant or when we give birth, there isn't always a kindness approach to one another. And we do see that in Islam, that there is a lot more awareness and a lot more understanding about what it is to be a mother. And I think it comes from our religious teachings, it comes from the way that we are taught, from the Quran, from the Prophet ﷺ and his wives. But there are definite cultural issues. So cultural issues, not just about Islam, but in terms of gender roles, in terms of society expectations. Every society that you've mentioned has a different perspective.
Exactly.
You spoke about Pakistan, you spoke about, India, we speak about South Africa. There are cultural issues about what it is to be a woman, what it is to be pregnant, what it is to just emotionally, I find women, it's not just about having a baby, it's about becoming.
Amen.
You have to become a woman. So after the break, when we get back, I'd like you to talk to us a little bit about the cultural issues that we do need to talk about, how society misunderstands what women actually experience. But let's go to an ad break and we'll be back right after this. Dear listeners, stay with us, and you know the number 060904 1056. We'll see you right after this.
WhatsApp us now on 060 904 1056.
Riveting interviews, empowering, educating, and appealing. Welcome to Simplex Radio. Visit our showroom for the full range of car audio. Our TV department carries top brands with quality LED panels, full HD to Ultra HD, and now the experience of Super Ultra HD. Visit our theater rooms and transform your home with brands like Onkyo, Integra, Denon, Boston Acoustics, Yamaha, and more for quality audio visual experience. Now available, full range of home appliances. A one-stop shopping experience. Call 031 306 4029 or Kenilworth Park, 202 Brickville Road, Overport. Simplex Radio, the name you can trust.
One day, your children won't remember how many hours you worked. They'll remember the opportunities you gave them, the security you created, and the legacy you left behind. At Anglo Wealth, our professionally managed Sharia-compliant wealth and income solutions offer profit share of up to 17% per annum, backed by real economic activity, helping you build wealth with purpose for those who matter most. Visit our website anglowealth.co.za or call 03-156-65201. Anglo Wealth Sharia is a registered national credit provider, NCRCP 7297.
Feed your soul with knowledge. At the Al-Ansar shop, you'll find a wide selection of Qurans, Islamic books, children's literature, educational resources, gifts, and inspirational reading material. Whether you're beginning your journey of learning or expanding your Islamic library, we have something for every age. Visit the Al-Ansar shop today. Al-Ansar shop, inspiring hearts through knowledge.
At the new Checkers Saxony Westwood, you'll find everything from our signature steakhouse classic cuts, expertly aged and ready for the braai. Try something exclusive like our Simple Truth certified lamb, responsibly sourced, free range, and raised without added growth hormones or promoters. Checkers Saxony Westwood, butchery, bakery, and deli, certified by the NIHT.
For the first time, I can dream again.
The Africa Muslims Agency Orphan Hope Program provides the food, clothing, and basic support needed by thousands of children across the world. Every child deserves a chance at a hopeful future.
For 50,000 rands, you can transform our lives with the AMA Orphan Hope Program.
Africa Muslims Agency, empowering, educating, inspiring.
Radio Al-Ansar, Durban, South Africa.
For as long as I remember, you were there for me. A young woman, growing older, but always mom to me. My heaven lies under your feet. Now I look at you and there's a few wrinkles and lines, but I still see the same beautiful smile. And it hurts to know someday the light will fade from your eyes. 'Cause you're the woman I love. You're the woman I love, my mother. You're the woman I love. Life just passes by. A fragile butterfly. I thank Allah to have you by my side. You see my heartbeat a little faster the day I held your hand. We were young then, learning together to love and understand. You helped me to be who I am. Now after all these years I look at you, my beautiful bride. My whole life is right there in your eyes. And Allah allows me every day to wake up with your smile. 'Cause you're the woman I love. You're the woman I love, my wife.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you've just joined us, today is not green thumbs up, but we are not here to disappoint you, because today we're having a much bigger conversation about nurture, and we are talking about nurture for pregnant women, mothers, and the difficulties that that can bring with it. And we're talking to human rights activist Isra Chakar, and she is the founder and CEO of Every Pregnancy. Now, just before the break, we were talking about, and during the break, we were talking about the importance of perceptions, right? And culture, and what are some of the misunderstandings that culture, society can have about pregnancy, about women, because we do think it's just something natural, kind of get on with it. Can you talk to us about that?
Of course. I mean, I think every single one of us can relate to the things that we were told by people during our pregnancies and during after birth, and the opinions people love to share that are unsolicited, and the advice. And I think like it's a natural part of a new journey or something that you're going along on, and people want to encourage you. They want to give you, from their perspective and their experience, the tips and the tricks and the hacks and all the things. But I do think like bigger than all of that, culture is a major driver of causes that can lead to horrible complications in pregnancy and delivery. And I've seen it firsthand. So when I was in Pakistan last year, as an example, I was quickly starting to see on the ground that the reason so many women were actually experiencing these negative outcomes in their pregnancy and complications in their pregnancy or delivery is because of a cultural issue around birth spacing. So birth spacing means like the space literally in between your pregnancies. So typically your body needs about 2 years to fully recover from a pregnancy. If you knew, that's what the data says. Like, we're not just talking about hormonally, we're talking about physically, emotionally, mentally, everything, for it to stabilize. However, in Pakistan, women are getting pregnant up to 6 weeks after delivery. So very quickly. And so what they were seeing on the ground, and what I was being told by all the amazing advocates and champions, is that women are getting pregnant so back to back, it's depleting their body. And if they're already anemic, which is the number one driver that causes postpartum hemorrhage, which is one of the leading killers of moms and babies around the world, and specifically moms in delivery, and postpartum hemorrhage is basically bleeding out when you're delivery. It really can stem back from anemia. Anemia is an iron deficiency. Something so simple, actually, with simple iron pills could solve it and cure it for her. But if she is getting pregnant back to back, anemia worsens. And it gets harder and harder for her body to recover, and will lead her to have pregnancy complications for her and baby, and including nutritional birth weight being low for baby and mom, and then potentially bleeding out again in delivery. So all of that being said, one of the major things that I saw the culture drives in Pakistan was women are getting pregnant so quickly and so close together because they are told and conditioned to believe it is their duty Islamically to do that. It's their duty to have children, to bear children, and their partners are pressuring them to do it. Their mother-in-laws are pressuring them to do it, and no one is really changing the behavior on a grand scale level. Now, I saw firsthand the amazing efforts on the ground in Pakistan by incredible champions, including Dr. Sidra Noshin from AKU University, one of the leading OBGYNs working on maternal health, but especially postpartum hemorrhage. And I also saw the work that our partners are doing, our 12 organizations in Pakistan, and how they are addressing the needs across the country for moms and babies specifically. And one of the biggest questions I asked them, I said, what are we doing to prevent birth spacing? Like what's happening on the ground for that? And so they told me that there is a lot of counseling happening as part of the antenatal visits.
But who are we counseling? Are we counseling the women?
Exactly. That's exactly the question I asked next. And so part of it is counseling the women to make sure that they understand what happens when they get pregnant so close together, and that they know they have options and options for contraception and family planning. Now, that's very controversial in a community like these communities.
I was just going to say.
And so they have to be very careful in how they talk about it and what they offer. And honestly, it's very hush-hush in a lot of ways, because some women will take the contraception. Some women are too scared to take the contraception in case their husband finds out. And some women don't believe in it themselves because they're conditioned to not believe in it themselves. So ultimately, it's the counseling that's happening within the clinics and the hospitals with the moms directly and in the communities. But then thinking about the man's role and how important it is to get the men in the family and the mothers-in-law, to be honest, also understanding of these issues. There is some counseling happening in that way, but I think it needs a lot of support and a lot more work. And one thing in particular Every Pregnancy has been doing in general as a faith-based movement is that we've really invested in that narrative change and in that behavior change, culturally, societally, and part of that is what stakeholders are we using to influence that, and who are the messengers that are really going to make a difference. And we realize that imams, scholars, those that are leaders of the religious communities and congregations are going to be the most effective messengers. And so we really have recruited different imams globally to help us deliver this message around maternal health being a priority, but also taking care of your wife in these ways, in the ways that we know are leading to this, making sure she goes to appointments, making sure she is being seen by somebody during her pregnancy, that she's eating, that she's getting nutrients that she needs, and that when she feels like something is wrong with her own body and her intuition is saying something is off, for them to immediately get her to support that she needs. And so these imams and this sort of Muslim religious base is actually one of the most effective ways for us to talk to the men in the community and to counsel and coach them that this is an issue that even Islamically we're called upon and commanded to address, that we're commanded to protect the sanctity of life for our moms and babies.
It's always interesting for me because you're talking about faith-based, absolutely, but even within a faith, there are always cultural issues. So it sounds to me like what you're dealing with is faith, there's culture, there's a whole re-education around those, because where they are connecting to true Islam, there may be more kindness, and where it is more culture, and you're dealing with impoverished communities in many cases where they haven't had perhaps education around this, they don't necessarily have the resources to fix the problem when they identify the problem, or identify the problem. They may not even know. Like, you knew your heart was racing, you knew there was something was up. But if we are telling women, you know, you're supposed to have babies, this is supposed to be normal, then you kind of sit with it and think, well, maybe this is just another aspect of pregnancy. So to answer the question for our listeners, are women out there, and I think you did in the beginning, are women out there still dying in childbirth?
Yes, tragically, and it's one of the greatest injustices, I truly believe, in our time. And it's a shame on humanity in so many ways that we failed moms and babies in this way, because it is so preventable. So yes, nearly 700 women a day are dying from these complications every single day.
And what are the main reasons that you've seen are responsible for women?
The three causes for a majority of maternal mortality that is preventable is one, postpartum hemorrhage, which means she's bleeding out in delivery, and they're not able to stop the bleeding, so she bleeds to death. The second is preeclampsia, which means high blood pressure, and so she wasn't treated for that during her pregnancy or after her delivery, and she dies from that. And the last one is septic shock that comes from bacterial infection. And so all three of these are completely preventable. All three of these have solutions that are so affordable. Less than a cup of coffee. Less than a cup of coffee can save a woman's life, truly, in every way. And so for me, it's understanding that these are the three major causes. So what are the interventions and solutions needed to solve each one, which are known, which there's training for, which there's access to, and then how are we getting that training, that equipment, those medications to as many moms as possible? And that's what the Every Pregnancy Coalition has been achieving successfully with flying colors, is being able to take this understanding, this knowledge, this training that we've been able to lead on for our coalition into the communities around the world. And I'll just say something that when I first started Every Pregnancy, I remember asking all the charities before we even became a coalition, saying, when I interviewed them, what are your maternal health programs? The number one question, the number one response, you're not going to believe this, that I got across the board was hygiene kits. And I kept saying to myself, hygiene kits are important, but what a Band-Aid solution for hygiene. That's not a
Band-Aid
maternal,
solution, spot on.
right? But that's not a
Absolutely.
maternal health program.
Yeah.
And so, just to tell you that in the past 3 years, seeing the evolution and transformation and growth of our partners to now be implementing the right interventions that are going to be the most effective at saving mom's life has been mind blowing and one of the most beautiful outcomes of every pregnancy.
Now, you must have the most incredible stories.
I do.
to
I
tell.
have a lot of stories.
And I'd like you to share with us, paint for us a picture of some of the work that you've done where it's actually changed. Like, what change have we seen? Share with us one or two of the stories that you've lived through, that you've seen.
Yeah, there's so many. You know, what's so beautiful about this is that I don't get to just speak about this from my own lived experience. I get to hear about it from a coalition of now 65 organizations and counting, and scaling to a point where we had over 200,000 donors give to the Ramadan campaign who care about this issue, and the millions of dollars raised, which, by the way, 100% of that money has gone into programming. Nothing to every pregnancy as an admin cost. I think it's also really important for people to know that there is no financial gain here for us other than the fact that we want to keep doing this work and scaling it as far and as wide as possible. You know, I've had the absolute privilege of going to different parts of the world to see this work firsthand. And that includes Pakistan, that includes Nigeria, that includes Syria, and that includes even here in South Africa in so many different ways, and understanding the communities that we're here to try to support and the moms are trying to support. And you know, something about Syria is very special that I want to talk about because I'm Syrian American and I haven't been back to Syria since 2010. So since the revolution started, essentially. I went back for the first time in 16 years this June.
That must have been emotional for you.
It was beyond description with the emotion. But I kept saying to people that it was the best feeling of euphoria. I never understood the feeling of euphoria until I went back to Syria. Because it wasn't just about going back to my country and seeing my people and my land and actually smelling it, seeing it, tasting it, touching it. The first time in 16 years, it was also because I got to go back and see firsthand the work Every Pregnancy is funded on the ground inside Syria through our amazing partners there. And so I got to go to clinics and visit clinics. And I've got to talk about a couple stories here because it is astounding. You know, Syria is one in the post-conflict country right now, but it suffered one of the greatest humanitarian disasters of our lifetime. Yeah. And there was a major refugee exodus, but there was also so much destruction to infrastructure, especially the health sector. And so I got to go visit a clinic that was the only clinic that was built by our partner MedGlobal within 200 kilometers in the north. This clinic is a lifeline for everybody there, especially for moms and babies, especially for moms who are pregnant, especially for women who are seeking pregnancy. And I got to go to the clinic firsthand and see how they are operating, what they're doing for moms there. And I was blown away by the level of care that these midwives gave their patients, the training, the ability to take care of these women. This clinic celebrated 2,000 safe deliveries and with 100% survival rate, 0% maternal mortality rate, and that is a game changer. So when we say that, it is very rare to see that firsthand. And when I would ask the doctors, the midwives there, you know, how did this happen? Like, how are you able to maintain this? This is amazing example of success in the world. They said, with the right training and the right equipment, anybody can save a woman's life. I got goosebumps thinking about it. There was a woman I met there.
Say that again. With the right
training and the right resources, anybody can save a woman's life.
Wow.
So powerful. And I met a woman there who was on her second pregnancy. And she shared with me that she had had 4 miscarriages back to back. And she still continued to try to get pregnant. And all of that stemmed from a simple blood test that she needed for a condition she had with a simple medication. This clinic was the reason why she was able to get pregnant, because they were able to test her. They figured out her condition. They gave her medication. Next thing you know, she has healthy pregnancy number 1, and now she's on healthy pregnancy number 2. Wow. But it just goes to show you that with literally just one blood test, look at the trajectory for her life that was changed. And so her story is a win. Of course, we've also seen really tragic stories in different parts of the world of where we're operating, our partners are operating, where because of oxytocin, a medication that's needed when a woman is bleeding out, to give her very quickly. And the one thing about oxytocin, which is really important, is that it needs to be refrigerated. That's how it stays active.
That's right.
So there was a woman bleeding out in Nigeria, postpartum hemorrhage, and she needed oxytocin. And so the midwife ran to get the oxytocin and realized that the fridge electricity was cut off.
Oh, no.
And the oxytocin was expired. And the woman bled to death, leaving her multiple kids behind. That was gutting.
Yeah.
It's absolutely gutting to know that that medication would have saved her life. And because electricity wasn't operational, she lost her life. And so how do you explain that to the family that just lost their mom? How do you explain that to a community that lost a pillar, a foundation? It's unfair, but these stories for me are a reminder that I don't want people who are listening and people who know the work that we're doing to look at this as statistics or as just numbers.
Yeah.
These are real women, real families being affected.
What you're saying and what is so true is that you're not just saving the life of the woman and of the child, but if you think of the knock-on effect to that family, to the extended family, to the community, to the societies, and then the repeated incidents of either the dying or the surviving, and how that then begins to change people's mindset and say, hang on a second, we learned this saved my life, and you're kind of passing on the torch. And for you, what a journey of identity.
Amen.
I think it's been for you, just listening
Tremendous.
to you, because you started off as a mom who encountered this issue. You were an activist. You still are, but it's those two worlds colliding, right? It's what I like to talk about as identity integration. It's integrating the mother in you, the activist in you, the philanthropist in you, the educator in you, and hearing these stories, so important. What message would you have? I mean, it is Women's Month. What message would you have for South African women first, and then men?
My message to South African women, with all the love in the world, and someone who truly believes that it is not my place as an outsider to pass opinions or judgment on the community and women's experience here. So just to put that as a caveat, I do believe that all women should feel empowered in their agency and should feel that they are responsible for their experience in this life in general, but especially around pregnancy and childbirth. And if they are not finding support in that experience, to go seek that support. And if they need help, to reach out to organizations like Every Pregnancy and our partners on the ground across the world who can be of that support. And to remember that what they are encountering, what they are experiencing, is one of the most transformational journeys in their life, and also one of the most challenging, and that it really does require a village. So lean in to the support that you have around you, and never doubt your agency in making these decisions and choices for yourself, because you have that. Nobody can take that away from you. Nobody can diminish it unless you allow them to. And so for me, that's just a lesson more broadly, even than just Every Pregnancy. And just for pregnancy, it's how I operate as a woman in this world. A woman who is oftentimes judged, ridiculed, criticized, and told how I should be living my life.
Yes.
Just like many of us are.
Yes, of course.
So the one place I would say to emphasize more than anything is the personal care for your own body and your own life experiences in your own body. If you are pregnant, you are carrying this beautiful life in you, and you deserve and you should have the basic human right of dignity and access to safe health care for free. And that's what I truly believe. And so for the men and the people around these incredible women, it is on you, full stop, to do everything you can to support women and support this experience and support their agency and create the safe environment for her to feel that she can have a safe and dignified pregnancy and delivery journey, and to mobilize our privilege and resources and access to providing that for her. As men, you'll never understand, you'll never relate to what it's like to be pregnant or carry a child into this world. But what you do and what you can understand is how to support and just be there, be present, be supportive, alleviate the struggles, check in, take good care, and take that responsibility on, because it is a responsibility and it should be taken seriously.
Yeah, and we can't say that we believe in pregnancy, we believe in children and having children, if at the same time we're saying, you know, put the pregnant woman to the side. She will just get on with it, because that is a contradiction.
100%.
So if I am in a community and every pregnancy is in that community, what am I expecting to see? What should I be seeing in terms of changes? What services? What am I looking for?
What you're looking for, first and foremost, is organizations that are there operating with a solid maternal and newborn health program. People who are offering antenatal care visits, all the right testing that you may need at free cost or low affordable costs, and then also the support to get you through that entire journey as a mom undergoing this experience. And then afterwards, even after birth care, the mental health counseling, all the different elements that are going through the pregnancy journey. We don't just deal with the physiological components to it and the aspects. We're also dealing with the mental and the emotional well-being of a mom and supporting her, and the nutritional side of things with the mom and the baby. So for us, it's a holistic approach. So you'll be seeing those services directly provided to moms and babies, and hopefully, which is the goal, like we saw in Syria, you'll be seeing a reduced maternal mortality rate, where ideally in your community no more women are dying from preventable complications in their pregnancy or their childbirth.
And if you're saving a woman and you're saving a pregnancy, you're saving a piece of tomorrow, because
Amen.
that child goes on to have children,
of
and
course.
that child goes on to have the children in a world where the birth rate around the world is becoming less and less, sometimes by choice, and sometimes, from what I'm hearing from you, because of the complications that they face. So if you were, as the spokesperson, the initiator, the brains and the heart behind every woman, if you could wave a magic wand and have your wish, what would the world look like then?
First of all, women would be in charge of everything in every institution, every government. That's the first thing. But the world would look like one where no woman would ever feel scared or doubted or attacked or ridiculed for her identities, and would feel fully supported in every way, institutionally, emotionally, physically, to live, honestly, her best, most dignified life, where all the resources she needs were available to her, where all the support she needs was surrounding her, where her voice could move mountains and she could feel it and see it, and ultimately where every amount of care that she needs is there for her. And so that, to me, is the ideal world, where we don't have our women and babies dying. We don't have our women facing these struggles that they're facing today, carrying the weight of the weight of the world on their shoulders. We don't have women constantly doubting their value in our society, when we know they're the rock of our society, when we know they're the foundation of our society. And so for me, if I wave that magic wand, it's truly to finally make an equitable world where women are valued as much as men, and are taken care of in the way that they deserve.
And what I'm hearing you say is that it's about a woman being able to become a mother without being afraid that she may not survive that.
Exactly.
However many times that takes for her. And to have a choice also in how many times in order to protect her body.
Absolutely.
Right? So where do we find your organization here in South Africa? You've been doing some work.
Yeah.
Where do we find you? What can we expect from every pregnancy here in South Africa?
Beautifully said. So, I'm here for the first time ever. This is day 3 of my first time to South Africa, and it's been such an amazing experience. And we are just listening on this trip. We are scoping out, which is what we always do coming into a community. And this is part of when I told you earlier that we don't parachute into a community and then parachute out. It's important to be working on the ground with the women women already leading these efforts. So for me, I've had the past few days been meeting different community members and local organizations and champions in this issue that are already leading efforts. So I've been listening. I've been talking to them about ways that we can support the cultural challenges on the ground here, as well as the actual needs challenges on the ground. And hopefully we'll be recruiting multiple organizations that work on this issue from South Africa to join the coalition, which is going to be amazing, and different champions here to join our coalition. And then inshallah, we will start to implement programming here with the support of the community. And so what you can expect is that this is not the last time you'll be seeing Every Pregnancy or hearing from us. I will be back in South Africa, inshallah, end of October to continue this work. And we will make it more clear with social media and our website on the different work that we're going to be launching in South Africa. So the best thing you could do is stay tuned and check out our social media at Every Pregnancy, or follow our work on our website, everypregnancy.org.
At Every Pregnancy. Folks, I just want to take a moment to say Jazakallah khair to those of you who've